everyone, my name is Luna and welcome to this recap of episode 99 of Critical Role and the first episode of Downfall. This is going to be a straightforward recap. I'm just going to be laying things out as they happened. So if you're looking for lore, explanations, and theories, then you can check out my most recent video for all of that good stuff. We begin in an infinite palace of light and stars, Tanga, the Eternal Palace, where we meet our party. Aru, Luz, Nahal, Ash, Idam, and Koru, beings of divine light who have lived in the palace for eternity. They are shown by another figure of light, Adan, a new tree growing in the orchard of possibility.
A fruit hanging from it, but also a gem, but also a sun falling into itself. Idun looks up, Imri looks at you and goes, "Beautiful. I don't know if I agree. Don't you feel a little bit?" And here he looks to you for the word that they have never had to say before.
As Idan plucks the fruit from the tree, they disappear into nothing, as if they have never been. This also happens to another light figure called Ailey, and the towers and the rooms and the bridges of the palace begin to crash around them. Any lights caught in these moments also disappear, as if they had never existed. The party of light rush towards a ship made of stars, which leaves Tanga and begins to enter the world of real, and as it does so, they feel themselves taking on more corporeal forms. Chaos begins to pull the ship apart, but Adam manages to hold the ship together, and Koru paints stars and constellations across the sky to guide them. The further from Tanga they go, the realer they become, until the ship crashes somewhere. Hint, hint, it's Exandria, and they behold monstrous figures above them. The scene then moves to a different place and a different time. We find ourselves a century into the calamity at the town of Hawks Hill, a ramshackle encampment of tents and shacks. Nothing is built to last in the calamity, as often things are destroyed. The town surrounds a landing pad for Aeorian ships. This is where refugees can come and attempt to get into Aeor and hopefully find some safety. Aeor is the last of the flying sky cities. And despite it being dark and at night, the town is alive with activity as they await a ship from Aeor. First, we meet Ashley's character. Ashley is playing Trist, a human cleric and paladin in her late 30s, who is married to a furbolg named Amaris, and they have 2 kids called Haley and Topher, and a dog called Gilly. At this very early point, I'm already bracing myself for my heart to be rent into 1,000 pieces. The family are accompanied by Aiden, a 15-year-old barbarian cleric druid paladin, that is quite the multiclass, who carries a shield and a staff covered in stars.
The stars say it's a good time.
It seems that Trist and Aiden are going to be heading up to Aeor, while the rest of Trist's family is going to stay behind in the town.
You really don't want me to come?
Of course I want you to go, but I don't need you to go. You need to stay here. I love you so much.
He leans in and gives you a kiss and stands up looking like he's so close to figuring something out that he sort of doesn't want to, and instead he just smiles.
I just put my hand on his cheek.
You're our miracle. You're the best thing that ever happened to me.
I love them so much already. Next, we meet Laura's character, Amhira, a human woman in green robes with a raven familiar, and she is also accompanied by a protector wearing a mantle of raven feathers. This guardian has seemingly protected Amhira for her whole life, as he had a vision that bade him to be her lifelong guardian. Amhira is a warlock, and it is later confirmed that this guardian's name is Pervon. Elsewhere in the camp, among the wagons of bright fruit, we meet Taliesin's character, an elf called Asha, who has a very run-down, almost haggard look about her. Her clothes are well made and cared for, but they are quite old and mended over and over again. However, it seems that her appearance might be deceiving, as she communicates telepathically with her 2 companions, one a half-giant woman called Madine, with a clear prejudice against Aeorians, and a cloaked figure with badly burnt skin called Shirane, who says that there are eyes watching everywhere.
Do you want us to handle them?
Her expression doesn't change. Her mouth doesn't move. In their heads, There's a raspy, distant voice. We are eyes of our own. And I thought I'd taught you patience.
Asha then telepathically dismisses the figures, who bow in deference and move to protect a mysterious crate in a wagon. Asha is then greeted telepathically by the wolf of Amhira's protector, Pervon. The wolf addresses Asha as queen. A skyship called the Venatoria then approaches Hawk's Hill and descends onto the landing pad. We later learn that the ship is powered by brimstone, but also by arcane engines, which trap demons inside them and use their essence as magical energy. An Aeomaton exits the ship and we meet Abubakar's character, Salaha. Salaha addresses the crowd and explains how the refugee process here works.
Denizens of Hawk Hill, we have come to collect foodstuffs and raw material supplies for the might of Aeor. Please allow the representatives of the Majesty to do their work. After food and supplies have come aboard, then those seeking refuge will be allowed to petition our proctors of the Dorian Guard. Priority will be given to those capable of labor. If you are not chosen, you will be given an emblem of sanctuary. Those with the most emblems will be taken after laborers. If you are sick or wounded, your emblem will not count. If you accost any member of this crew or delay them in their efforts, your emblems will be removed. Please come through.
Aeorian mage knights exit the ship and begin to inspect the wagons that are delivering resources for a secret project that is taking place on Aeor. Hearing that sick and wounded are not allowed onto the ship, Aiden follows the sound of a racking cough and meets an elderly man, a grandfather, who is very unwell. His family is with him and they have many, many emblems, which means that they have been passed over for refuge many times. Amhira joins Aiden, who acknowledges her with a smile. It's clear that the two know each other. And Aiden casts Lesser Restoration on the grandfather, whose coughing ceases and he passes away peacefully.
What did you do?
You cannot cure age. In this moment, he offered your father peace, which is something we should all be grateful for.
Aiden and Amhira are then joined by everyone else, Trist, Asha, and even Salaha, who hands out amulets to all of them, which will allow them to enter Aeor.
Took you long enough.
As they prepare to board the ship, they pass a group of beggars, and Aiden sets up a tent for them, casting create food and water inside. They thank him profusely, but Salaha speaks in his mind, warning him to be careful. The soldiers load in all of the goods from the wagons, including Asha's crate, which is very heavy. Once all the goods are loaded, they begin to let on a very, very small number of refugees, and they violently turn away one gnomish woman who carries the symbol of the Dawn Father.
No emblem of the gods will make its way aboard this ship, nor the city of Aeor. If it is the gods you worship, then have them, and their choked sky, and their ruined land. What hope remains for mortals in Exandria remains because of Aeor's might. Aeor alone will see you through.
He looks at this old gnomish woman whose emblems have just been destroyed and who talks of walking in his light. He will stare at her.
She looks at you and just weeps. She goes, the sun is shining. It's shining. It's shining right now. Even when you can't see it, it's still there.
The party board the ship, and as it rises up, Trist watches her family below. The group all convene in a holding chamber where they open the crate that Asha brought. Inside is a massive slab of stone and ice, and it begins to crack apart and form into an 8-foot-tall construct. This construct is Noshir's character, simply known as the Emissary. The appearance of the Emissary is a surprise to the group, who were clearly expecting somebody else.
He reaches out a massive hand that completely engulfs yours and slowly gets to his feet.
Did she say anything before she left? Anything at all?
My lady is always with you. And he opens these massive clawed hands, and in each of his hands has sprouted a small seed. Idiots.
Asha huddles into the corner into the form of a wolf, clearly upset. Salaha tells the emissary to go back into the crate and boards it back up again. It has apples written on the side. As they approach Aeor, the ship passes through the Latimus Princeps, which is a shield set up around Aeor intended to keep divinity out, but also just people that they don't want to let in. Everybody has to have this particular amulet to help them pass. The Venatoria is surrounded by warships, and mages come aboard to inspect the people and the goods, but particularly the refugees. The group mostly pass inspection, except when Emhira rolls a nat 1 on a zone of truth. However, she covers by casting suggestion, and Silhala casts an illusion spell of a stowaway, which keeps all of the guards occupied for a while. The ship then arrives at Aeor.
You see coming into the horizon, Aeor. Vast and mighty. Wards of the city on the arms of massive stone slabs that circle a central point, light, magical, and arcane, so powerful as if to eclipse the brightness of day itself. Colossi, automatons, 20, 30, 40 feet tall, walk ramparts ready for war against the endless and undying itself. Aeor, last of the Age of Arcanum, last of the Sky Cities, the last and greatest hope for mortal Exandria.
In the city, there are many Aeormatons as well as mages and wizards, all walking with demons bound to their service, some even dressed up with like bells and collars like pets. The streets are busy, but it's all a sort of military and police presence. There is a feeling of oppression, and there's not many like regular citizens, at least in this part of the city. Salaha leads them to the Chamber of Seasons on an arcane tram. On the tram is a member of the Watch, inebriated and almost passed out. With him he has this necklace which has a small demon inside. So Emhira goes invisible and takes the necklace. She then examines him and sees that he will be dead before sunrise.
I breathe in.
Ugh. So creepy. They arrive at the Opus Ward, which is kind of a slum with really heavy surveillance, but there's not much on-the-ground military presence. They arrive at the Chamber of Seasons, which is a long-forgotten temple that somehow still exists here in this anti-god world. They are greeted by an Aeorian archmage called Arcadia Serenveterex. It was clearly part of the plan to meet her here.
A beautiful woman, vibrant robes of red and white in geometric pattern, long braids, deep black skin, a golden headdress. She smiles and her eyes gleam white.
Arcadia is confused about the presence of the emissary and asks why he's here, and he says that he's here to uphold her commandments. Arcadia then gives the emissary some bands to make it seem like he is a summoned construct, allowing him to hopefully move a little more freely throughout the city. Arcadia says they are here and takes them to meet 4 others. She specifically warns Trist, saying that the 4 have harmed them and that they do not need to reveal anything about themselves that they don't want to. She is clearly worried about how the 2 groups are going to react to each other. Before going in to meet them, Asha and Trist examine the wall of the temple, which contains remnants of images of all of the different gods, but there is one place that is empty and blank, as if whatever was there has vanished.
There's a hole in all of us. I'm not capable of blaming her right now, but there are times it's hard not to feel robbed.
In the next room, they meet the 4 others. One is an old man with a kindly face, a priest of the Dawnfather called Father Milo Kaust.
Hello, family.
Lying on the altar is a barbarian woman with blood trickling from her mouth called Tushar, and at the base is an old sickly turtle with a shell chained in spikes and hooks all through his skin called Zaharsht. In the ceiling is a crouching halfling woman, Umletta, with a drawn bow and arrow. Aiden voices his disapproval at the priest of the Dawnfather.
Would have words with you if he were here.
I am, as ever, an open channel for the Lord of the Sun. Let him speak to me if he would. It has been a joy to sow his light.
Arcadia begins the meeting, saying that a truce has been called for them to deal with the rising power of Aeor, and confirms that Aeor has been working on a weapon called the Factorum Malleus, which will have the power to destroy a god. It's here when Salaha states that it is impossible.
Think about it. They can't kill us.
Trust me when I say it is possible.
There are a lot of signs pointing to this, but this confirms that the party are made up of the actual gods, the prime deities. Well, not exactly the gods. They are the gods, a portion of the gods contained within a mortal body. If you want to hear about who is playing who and like which god is which, like I said, check out my previous video for that. But what I will say is that we know that the players are playing members of the prime deities, and the NPCs that we meet here that Brennan is playing are members of the betrayer gods. Arcadia recommends that they split their forces and do some reconnaissance, but warns them that Aeor has put in place a fail-safe system, which if they are alerted to any shenanigans, that they will be able to send the schematics of the weapon to every corner of Exandria. So they have to be careful not to alert anyone. She recommends taking about a week or so to like do this reconnaissance, but Father Milo points out that they actually have a very short time frame, probably only one night, because earlier that day, a celestial of one of the prime deities arrived in the city, basically alerting the city to the presence of the divine. The prime deities are confused and don't know who the celestial belongs to or why they are here. Arcadia begins to outline the different steps that they need to do to disassemble the weapon, but Umletta has a different idea in mind.
I mean, you can run and do a lot of research if you want, but it feels like there's a really clean solution.
No.
What'd you say to me?
I said no.
What do you think we came here to do? You think we came here to have them see reason? If they were reasonable, they wouldn't have opposed us in the first place.
Amhira and Asha actually think that this plan is worth considering. So Arcadia goes over the three elements of her plan. They need to take down the Aerovox protocol, which is the system where they could send out those weapon plans everywhere. They need to take down the Obtenebrator, which shields the city from divine sight. And they need to take down the Latimus Princeps, which is that shield that repels and surrounds the city. Asha advocates for the Betrayer's plan to just flat out destroy the city. However, Aiden says,
If we can do this without destroying the city, that is how we win. This place, these non-believers, they hate us because they fear we will do as they have said. But we are more than they can possibly imagine. And we must use that power to not only protect each other, but to show them a better way.
Lost children. Redemption. Or death.
They continue to argue the methods, but agree to eventually work with the Betrayers and attempt Arcadia's plan. But if that fails, they will attempt the more extreme option. As they get ready to move out, Asha shares a moment with Zaharsht.
If I promise to take care of you, can I torture you forever?
You already do.
And Trist attempts to give Zaharsht a moment of peace with a spell, but he refuses.
I don't want a moment of peace. You know the last time I saw peace? Long before we ever touched this world. on a ship.
Arcadia warns them to be careful because if they die here, they will return to the Celestial and will no longer be able to see or intercede in Aeor, and also that they must ensure that the emissary stands. So with discussions out of the way, they work out their teams. Aiden, Trist, Arcadia, and Father Milo will work together to try and get access into the Genesis ward where the Obtenebrator engines are. Asha, the emissary, Zaharsh, and Tashar will then work to destroy the Obtenebrator engines. And Salaha, Imhira, and Umleta will attempt to track down the protocol that would send out all those weapon plans.
There are disagreements here that we can solve later. But for now, we must do these separately together. They think, and this will be their downfall, that we are more fractured than we need be. Family, we are stronger together.
And team out. What an incredible first episode. As always, I want to hear from you. What was your favorite moment? Who is your favorite character so far? Let me know in the comments. As I've said, I feel like I've said it a million times now, but don't forget to check out this video here where I talk about who is playing who, which god is playing which, and all the different relationships between the gods that we know so far, as well as some other juicy bits of lore. I also want to say a huge shout out and thank you to my patrons who I couldn't do this without. Okay, that's all. Enjoy. Bye.
Dark. And just kind of watches what's going on around it.
You kind of hear again the voice in your head. Yes, it's very dark, darling, but just stay inside. You kind of